As a late diagnosed autistic, I have heard a lot of shit along the lines of, why do you seem more autistic now that you've been diagnosed? Like, you used to be able to do that, why can't you do it now? And I'd like to talk about that because, yeah, I used to be able to do a lot of things. I used to push myself to do a lot of things, and I have been hanging on by a thread for my entire life. So yeah, I have to make adjustments for my own well-being. I have to accommodate myself because nobody else ever accommodated me. Like, it is so difficult for a lot of people to grasp the concept of how much more energy an autistic person is exerting throughout their day and throughout their life, because there are just so many things, and obviously it differs person to person, autistic person to autistic person. So I can only speak off of my own personal experience, but the burnout that comes with being undiagnosed and unaccommodated, especially when you're high masking, it can become absolutely debilitating. Because, first of all, if I'm socializing, and by socializing I mean having any sort of interaction with any other human being whatsoever, I'm automatically spending way more than twice the amount of energy, probably like 4 to 5 times the amount of energy, if not more, on just trying to make sure I don't misread anything, and I still end up misreading so much, and trying to make myself come off as socially acceptable and not rude, because a lot of the things that I just naturally do can be considered very socially unacceptable and can be considered rude, even though that's not my intention most of the time. Which in turn turned me into, I don't even know what word to use, turned me into the most intense people pleaser that I know. Like, it is so hard for me to stand up for myself, or even communicate that I need accommodated, because anytime that I've ever attempted that, I've been scolded and told I'm not trying hard enough and I need to push myself more, which in turn burned me out more and exhausted me more. And it got to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed in the mornings to go to school. I would literally have 20 alarms set going back to back to back, and having multiple people bang on my doors, and that is a terrible way to wake up. And clearly I was trying to get the fuck up. I just literally couldn't. I was so far past my breaking point, I couldn't get myself out of bed. And then people just see you as lazy and defiant, so you try and push yourself even harder, but it's just this endless cycle of, I feel guilty that I'm not doing enough because people are telling me I'm not doing enough, so I push myself to do more, which makes me incapable of doing more because it's draining all of my energy. So I can't keep up with life, and everybody's pissed at me for it, and I have this immense amount of guilt weighing on me, pushing me to do more than I'm capable of, which is in turn just exhausting me more. And I'm just going in circles. But do you understand how fucking exhausting this is? And then people tell you you're using it as an excuse. And it's no, bitch. The disability is debilitating because it's a disability. Why the fuck do you think it's considered a disability? But some people are just so uneducated and unknowingly ableist. And it just really sucks to be around those people. Especially when they're your family, or people that you've grown up around and that you actually care about. But it's how do I continue to have a relationship with you when that's how you view things? like, why are people getting mad at you for accommodating yourself? Like, I'm sorry that my disability is inconveniencing you, but how do you think it feels to have the disability and deal with this shit internally every second of every day? Like, not to mention all the extra sensory input that we are taking in at all times. Because it's like, neurotypical people don't hear the electricity buzzing through the fucking light bulbs. They don't hear it, like the electricity when you plug a charger in. They don't hear the refrigerator running in the background. They don't. The lights are just like normal lighting for them, but I have to unscrew multiple light bulbs just so I'm not like so overstimulated that I can't proceed with my day. And it's just like, what the fuck? Could you be a little bit more understanding? It'd be great, thanks. Like, if I had a physical disability, like if I had an amputated leg or something and I didn't have a wheelchair or a cane and I was limping, would you be like, can you like not limp? Can you just like speed up? Like, no, you wouldn't do that. So like, why is it that because my disability is invisible that you're acting like a complete prick? Like, I get so overwhelmed and overstimulated and burnt out at times that I literally don't have the energy to keep up with like basic hygiene. Like, I don't have the energy to clean and feed myself. I will go days without eating sometimes because like I just don't have the energy to cook a meal or go through a drive-through and interact with the person at the window. Like, you do not understand how absolutely debilitating it can be in everyday life. And I'm not saying like nobody understands, because obviously like I'm sure there are autistic people that are watching this that are like, no, I get it. Like, maybe there's even neurotypical people that are understanding or empathetic or have autistic loved ones that they actually communicate with and understand, and maybe they do get it, but we need more people like that. Because I see way too many people in comment sections and just saying shit like straight to my face in real life that like, you're just using autism as an excuse. Can we stop saying that everything is autism and da-da-da? And it's like, but bitch, do you understand that like autism affects literally everything? Like, it's how your brain developed. It's how you perceive the world. Like, you just sound so ignorant when you say something like that. Here's a clip of another autistic creator. His name is David, and he explains this much better than I could.
Not everything is because of your autism. You're just using it as an excuse. Don't let it define you. But here's the thing. Being autistic does define me. I can't have any experience that does not come through the filter of my autistic neurology. Being autistic is both the reason I struggle in a world not designed for me, but also the reason that I am the person that I am today. So yes, I do refer to my autism a lot when I'm talking about my struggles, but it's not because I'm trying to make an excuse. It's because literally everything I do, every thought I have, every interaction I have, every feeling, every sensory experience is an autistic one. And I live in a world that was not designed for that. So what you see as me trying to make an excuse, as defining myself by a label, is me trying to explain to you what my inner world is like, while situated in a world that doesn't want my inner world to be the way that it is. Being autistic is valid. It's more than a label. It's more than an identity. It is what makes me me. If I was not autistic, I would not be David. And I deserve to have my struggle validated.
And a lot of the time, I don't think it's coming out of a place of malicious intent. I think sometimes there are just trolls and haters being hateful, but I also think that there are people that are genuinely just confused and need some redirection. because autism is so like stereotyped, and like a lot of people don't know what autism looks like or how it can present. And even like doing something like this where I can be like stimming and touching my hair and focused on something while I'm talking to you, like I know I'm just talking to a camera, but if I were doing this to like talk to an actual human being, a lot of people would just perceive this as rude and like I'm not paying attention to them and I'm not interested in what they're saying. But I'm honestly like processing things so much better and faster and clearer while I'm being able to do this. And I don't know if that's like an ADHD thing too, because I am not diagnosed with ADHD, but I definitely think I also have that. But I don't know for sure. I have a clinical autism diagnosis, so I know that one for sure. But can we just like stop assuming the worst in people and stop assuming that people are like faking autism for sympathy or something, or like faking symptoms, or just like being over dramatic in general? Because that's something that like autistic people hear way too fucking much, is that you're being over dramatic. Like, no bitch, you're not in my brain, you're not in my body, you don't know what it feels like, you don't know how I'm perceiving the world, it's not the same as you. So yeah, maybe if I felt what you felt and was acting like this, maybe that would be dramatic. But you have no idea how it feels to be in my existence. Like, even another autistic person does not know what it feels like to be in my existence, because we are all different human fucking beings. Like, are you exactly the same as any neurotypical person? If you're neurotypical, are you a carbon copy of any other neurotypical person? Do you perceive the world exactly the same as any other neurotypical person? I don't think so. So like, why the fuck do you think all of us autistic people should have the exact same experience? We are not carbon copies of each other. We are human beings with human traits, because autistic traits are human traits, and they vary because it's a fucking spectrum. It's not like, oh, this person's like super autistic and this person's just a little bit. Like, no. I saw a creator make a video using like the dials on their oven.
I'm going to explain to you why the autistic spectrum is not a line using the dials on my range. Some people think the autistic spectrum is a straight line with super autistic at one end and just a touch of autism at the other. That's not how it is. If you imagine that each of these dials represents an aspect of autism, say sensory issues, social and communication differences, routines like need for routines. If you imagine each dial represents a different aspect of autism, every autistic person will have these dials turned up to different degrees. So they might have sensory issues turned all the way up and social and communication differences only turned a little bit up. Or they might have social and communication differences turned all the way up and need for routines just like a tiny touch. And each aspect will be at a completely different degree for each individual autistic person, which means that each individual autistic person has their own autistic profile that is unique.
Please nobody comment on how bad I am at curling my hair. I know. I just brush it out and shake it out and it looks decent. I recently discovered that not everybody brushes their hair out after they curl it, and some people are very passionate about not brushing it out. But I'm gonna show you what this shit looks like not brushed out. And maybe if I was better at curling my hair, I wouldn't have to, but I like it better brushed out. Okay, this is them not brushed out. Now, when people say they don't brush it out, I don't know if they like rake their fingers through it or anything, but if I don't do anything, what the fuck? I look like a fucking president from the 1800s. I don't think we had presidents in the 1800s, but you know what I mean. And this is her completely brushed out. Like, that definitely looks better in my opinion. I will say it does probably differ hair type to hair type though. But like, people aren't just all of a sudden becoming more autistic. They just now understand how their brain works, why their brain works the way that it does, and they now understand what they can do to accommodate themselves to make their lives more bearable. Why would you not want them to do that? That's my 2 cents on the topic. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day. Lace up.